welcome, Luciano. First I want to start off and just say hello to our virtual crowd. Welcome to Transform 2021, our second annual event. Really excited about my topic today and my guest. So topic today are challenges at the edge, and really getting to talk through with one of our key customers, BOBST and Luciano. So by way of introduction, I'm Michael Pearl. I run global sales here at ZEDEDA. I've been in the IoT space for a very long time, so I'm very familiar with a lot of the customer challenges. Been part of that, helped to get past that, and so this is a topic near and dear to my heart. And with that, I want to turn it over to Luciano to introduce himself, but also please go ahead and enter your questions as we're talking, as we have time at the very end of the Fireside Chat. Happy to get to some of those and answer some that the audience has as well. So Luciano, take it away. Give a quick introduction to yourself and BOBST.
All right, thanks, Michael. So I'm Luciano Torres. I'm product owner of the IoT platform here at BOBST. I have a software development background. I have 20 years experience on the area. Less 10 most focused on manufacturing. The industry, where I've been leading development of digital solutions, essentially. I joined BOBST 3 years ago. So I joined to start a pilot at the time, a pilot of IoT and connectivity, machine connectivity, which basically led to the creation of what we call the IoT lab, and the development of the solution, which now called BOBST Connect, which where we started using ZEDEDA and other tools to connect all BOBST machines and start providing connectivity and digital services for customers.
That's great, and you kind of keyed in on my next topic, which was customers. So a couple of pieces there. One, what types of solutions do you provide just overall to your customer, just from a equipment standpoint, and what types of companies are using those solutions?
So our customers, they basically they manufacture packaging and labels. So what we be providing them is services for them to manage their production, their machines, of course, the productivity, the performance, the quality of the machine. So this is the very, very basic step. And from there, we want to offer full integration of their workflow and their processes. So for our customers, when they are serving their customers, they want to have a full integrated workflow, right? So when a new design of for a new package arrives, it can come electronically via their portal, which goes to their manufacturing systems, and then that should go automatically as well to our machines, which will help them prepare the production, plan the production, and control the quality and so on. So what we want to do is to participate in our customers' digital transformation. So we embarking on a process of digital transformation and participating in the digital transformation of our customers as well, offering a full set of digital services so they can integrate the full process and manage their production.
Excellent. That's a great overview of what you're doing, and as we talk a little bit more about customers and the environments, and that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges in IoT is actually getting adoption and also meeting the needs of your customer, because you have to provide something of value, right? So I think my first question for you around that is, what types of customer issues are you running into? What is it that they're asking for? Where do they need help? What are those major challenges, and what ideas do you have or have you been providing through your solutions to get past those?
So they want to have full visibility on their production. They want to be able to, in a centralized platform, to see everything that's going on, what's their return, investment on their machines, the productivity of their machines. So they want to have this data consolidated and calculated for them in a way that they can consume in their own calculations and in their own process. So this is a very important need we are covering. They want to have a full integrated process internally, so they want to be able, for instance, to define their production in a portal and have that planning sent to the machines and be available for the operator when they start the production, so they can go to the machine and see everything that they need to do, integrated with the BOBST solution. Of course, the uptime and remote maintenance is something for now they take it for granted. We just moving that a little bit further, by using the edge, so we are able to collect a lot more data with a lot more frequency, so we can be better in remote troubleshooting, for instance. We also using our edge infrastructure in pilots in augmented reality, more digital products that we can offer, so we can provide services more easily for them.
What about security? Yeah, what are their thoughts? How big of a challenge is that to overcome in the production manufacturing environments?
So it's a very important topic, especially because it hasn't been a major topic for a long time. Meaning, we didn't need to worry much about security, right? You just sell the machine to a customer, and it's up for them to manage the security of the machine. But now we continue to work with the customer to have an interaction with the customer by having one of our devices installed on their machines as they're producing. So it's very, very important that this process is fully secure, that we're not letting any door open for our customer machines to be hacked from the outside, for instance. At the same time, as we move into offering services that we want to monetize as well, we want to be protected in some cases where we can actually offer or block some services depending on the contract. So all of these are a great challenge that require a lot of security on the endpoint. And yeah, in that respect, we worry a lot about securing the endpoint, having it encrypted, using hardware security, TPM, securing our connections, and so on. So yeah, it's a massive challenge we face.
Yeah, common thread, across the board. Everybody we talk to, and it seems to, in the end, somewhere it comes down to a checkbox on security. And even if it's just a checkbox, there is a lot of requirements we go through, and I'm sure we went through those with you as well in the early days when we first started talking. So I think as you and I talked, your solution that you had in place previously is maybe 10 years old. So the legacy solution that you had been using today, the decision was made at some point in the past year or so to really move over to an Azure IoT Edge solution, and certainly to deploy via ZEDEDA. And so I want to understand more about what were the challenges with that particular solution, and what was the reasoning behind the new architecture and maybe some of the choices you made in that?
Right. So yeah, having the solution just shows how innovative BOBST is. So 10 years ago, already thinking about connectivity and connected services for our machines. And what happened is that in recent times, BOBST decided to have a very strategic move towards digital and making digital services more the core of what BOBST offerings, and more strategic than something that is offered on top of our machine. So we change a bit the priority. And the solution that we had was offered by an external supplier And after 10 years, it aged, of course. So there's no way that BOBST could make digital the core of the transformation by relying on this old application. So really had to rethink everything from scratch. We internalized, we created an internal team to keep the core knowledge of what we were doing in this platform and increase the agility of how fast we were going to move. So all of this for the organizational aspects. And then architecturally, we made some decisions as far as we wanted something that could, for instance, scale really fast, scale at will. So that's we had to move to the cloud and start using a platform as a service. So things that we could really scale up really quickly as we increasing the number of connected machines, as increasing the amount of data that we're collecting, and that was not the case for the old platform, of course. One other big decision was to the edge, essentially. So the previous application didn't have anything that resembled an edge. There was just the automation machines connected directly to servers in the backend, and that proved to be a very limiting for a number of things. So having the edge would allow us to increase enormously the amount of data that we would get, to have a lot of flexibility in terms of what data did we want at what time. So some of the data we needed almost real time, some others we just could wait a bit and process and decide what was important and when. So all of these decisions we could only do having an edge device. Apart from that, some use cases required a very low latency, very classic need to having an edge. And today we don't do as much, but at some point we want to have the flexibility of pushing some important calculations on some important perhaps predictive maintenance to the edge. It's not the case today, but it's something we want to be able to do in the future.
So you mentioned a couple things I want to key on in the next questions. One of which just edge in general, and versus industrial IoT versus solutions around serviceability. But when you talk to your customers, how do you position edge? What is edge, and what does edge mean to them as you're having that conversation?
So, of course, we try to be as to have this as transparent as we can in terms that they don't really need to know that there's an edge. Okay. But in some cases, some use cases, we can use it as a very interesting point for them. For instance, some customers they want to have local connectivity, right? And for instance, they have their own on-premise manufacturing control systems in which they want to pull and push data. And from that, you can say, oh, you know what? We have a computing device on the machine that we can work in having that as a gateway for those use cases. So there's some of the things that can bring interest to the customer, but mostly this for the main use cases of monitoring, this should be pretty transparent for them. We just can say that we have a more modern system that can act faster in some cases, that can provide more capabilities, but not necessarily having that provided by an edge.
No, that's a good point. And the other piece that you mentioned was scale. And kind of music to my ears is hearing about how fast BOBST is starting to deploy, to scale, to look at their program, and to be able to really expand out globally. And I know there's a lot of challenges with that as well. But I would love to hear more about the progress you're making, what your plans are from a scale standpoint, both globally and also just maybe even additional features, functionality, business unit solutions you're thinking of being able to deploy in kind of a multi-architected environment.
Right. So yeah, scaling was was impressive for us as well. So if you see, so I've been there for 3 years. The first year was just a pilot phase, the proof of concept. So really started building the application from scratch 2 years ago, and we are ready to go live. And during this time, we started, for instance, installing our devices on every single machine being sold by BOBST. That happened quite quickly, and that's provoked some very important so brought some very important challenges that we had to address very quickly. For instance, how could we put ourselves into the manufacturing process, right? BOBST has 14 manufacturing sites globally, and now we were adding a new device that had to be shipped on all machines produced by all the sites, and that including installing Eve on it, provisioning on Z control, and all of those things. Not only ZEDEDA, but every other all the other systems that we had behind as well. So being able to automatize this was very important. So we took an approach of infrastructure as a service. So today all the process is automated in a way that we have our own set of pipelines and scripts in the backend that provide the devices on many different systems, including ZEDEDA and our BOBST Connect, and having this done in an automatic way, and making sure it has the right configuration for the right machine that was leaving. That was a massive challenge in terms of scaling. So that's basically our challenge now, because we want to be ready for other type of scaling in the future, which is scaling in terms of functionality, right? So you want to establish our footprint, connect as many machines as we can, as fast as we can, to have the edge footprint on the field, so we can start collecting data, we can start connecting the machines, and we can start building new features in a very agile way on top of it, depending on what our customers need and what we want to offer them.
And how about geographies, challenges? When we talk about challenges, there's certainly probably geographies that you'd like to be able to expand to. You don't have to mention any specifically, but are there different challenges in different parts of the world and things that you're doing to overcome those as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So as of today, we have already edge devices almost all continents except for South America, and so it went really quickly. Of course, we started beginning of the year to deploy them, and we had a lot of thought behind latency and multi-availability, multi-sites on Azure to be able to cope with this increase. Everything so far, everything is going fine. We are able to connect all of them. Our major question mark for now is, of course, our strategy for China. So we had a lot of discussion. So we're not doing that yet, but we had of course we had to define a few points for deployment in China. So we're getting ready to do that next year, 2022. But that involved the choice of a different hardware. For instance, we have a different hardware to be deployed in China. We're very happy that ZEDEDA had a lot of support for the provisioning of the device with or without the hardware encryption capability. Also, we are preparing to have a completely duplicated environment for us in Azure China. So that will pose a lot of challenges as well. Azure China is not exactly the same, but we want to reuse all the deployment infrastructure that we have and so on. So yeah, so it's a big challenge. I don't know if ZEDEDA plans to have also a separate environment for China at some point. Might be interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of risks that we cover by doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure one of these days we will, as we continue to grow up and handle our scale also in the world, right? As we add customers and we add those deployments in different areas that have different requirements and expectations. Yeah, definitely on our roadmap as we look at where our customers need us to be. Um, and you finally kind of brought up a key, which was around ZEDEDA, and I think. I'd love to understand more, and I think the audience maybe, how did you find us originally? How did ZEDEDA and BOBST start working together? And B, in the challenges that you had to overcome, what was it about ZEDEDA? What was it about our solution, our offer, our architecture, our ability to work with you that resonated well and helped you to get moving, I think, quicker than most companies do?
That's true. We I confess we let this problem slide a bit. So we knew from the start that we had to have a solution for managing our devices, but we had so much focus on proving on the functional side for our customers and for our board that, just the front-facing part of the application that we had to put in the back burner a bit, this problem of managing the devices. So maybe we did that too late, or a bit later than we should. And so, of course, when we had to find a solution, we were in a massive hurry, right? We had to find something. So we at the beginning we thought, well, what if we do that ourselves? And then we quickly decided we wouldn't do anything that was useful. I mean, it's a massive challenge. It's a big problem that is not the core business of BOBST, of course. So we had to find a solution outside. So we did some pilots with other companies that were more focused only on the software update part, and I mean, it was not really satisfying, so to speak. We did a private preview with the Azure Edge device update as well before it went into general or in public preview. But maybe we did that too early, and it was truly not ready for GA, and we needed something much quicker. And then we found ZEDEDA via Microsoft anyway. So with Microsoft, we came across the solution. So very quickly, extremely very quickly, we from getting in contact with ZEDEDA to have a working prototype, I think was something about 3 or 4 weeks. So we are very confident that the solution was solid, because we had it in a very short time frame. Not only the capability of onboarding our devices, which was what we needed. So we wanted to ship our devices in the machine with something that we could control from the distance. So even if it was anywhere in the world in our customers, we could push new software, we could push new whatever we needed, but we had something leaving the factory that we could connect afterwards. So having that capability really quickly was very important. Even the scripts to automate the generation of the images, I think that was a very key point that even if maybe you guys don't advertise that too much, but having that really quickly was very important for us. And then essentially the fact that what you were offering was very different from everything we saw before. Was not only the software version management, but much more than that. Really the full configuration, full management of the device lifecycle and configurations and so on. So all of that at the time, it was a very simple decision to say, okay, no, let's go with ZEDEDA.
No, that's great, and I appreciate the background on that. It's really helpful, as my team's very involved in discussions with a lot of companies globally, and they sometimes start down the road of, I want to build it myself, or maybe it's just software up, and then they realize how complicated it is. So you've solved the problem. You've been a great reference, and very helpful with case studies, and we really appreciate you as a customer. I have one more question for you, and then maybe you'll get to ask me one if we have time, and I'll make this one quick. But we talked a lot about a lot of the challenges, but we didn't talk about internal challenges. The challenges you've had to overcome internally around building out the total cost of ownership, the return on investment. What does that look like for a company like BOBST? What did you have to go through, or what do you have to continually go through to drive a program like this?
Well, the biggest, let's say the one challenge that we have every day is that we're trying to move fast and be agile, and because we come from software world, right? And BOBST is a very traditional company, and in the industry, BOBST needs to follow certain processes and certain rules, in which when we're trying to drive a digital transformation, that is really sometimes we find some really problem. We are lucky in a way that this whole transformation is driven by coming from up. So there's no debate, but changing the way of working is very hard, and I understand it's very hard for the traditional side of BOBST. So that's a big one. BOBST is 100 something years old. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you were early part of industrial automation, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look, we have just a little bit of time left. I think I told you in our prep run, maybe you could ask me a question if you're interested. So, is there something you'd like to know from me about ZEDEDA, about kind of our strategy, what the world looks like?
Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. You're working with other big customers which are doing something similar to us, right? So some benchmarking would be interesting. What can we learn? Is there any challenge that maybe we haven't seen yet, or where are your other customers going in which direction in sense of leveraging edge technologies? And
yeah, no, it's a great question, because we see companies like you that are machine builders and they're driving innovation toward their customers. Common theme, a lot of Azure IoT Edge, sometimes mixed environments, virtual machines, plus K3S, Kubernetes, different types of approaches and mixed architectures, and they need an easy way to deploy. We also see the companies that you're selling to, right? The environments where they're building the boxes and the product that also need to do that internally. So the manufacturers themselves, and they have different use cases and different needs and different solutions that they're looking to deploy and why. And all these things come together. And some locations we see, very confined. Some are out in oil rigs, in very remote locations, and they don't have constant connectivity. So we're solving for a lot of problems. And as we see that, we kind of look at our roadmap, and we really, I think, rebranded as distributed edge versus just IoT edge. And those were very important pieces as well, right? Edge is so different now. It probably started out thinking more industrial, but it really is everywhere. It could be retail and environments, because in the end, that's the edge. And not everybody wants a real heavy data center type of appliance approach to how to deploy and manage applications there. So we continue to learn from our customers, from our prospects, from our partners, and build the best solution in the world. That's what we're doing, and that's how we want to be there to help you. And we appreciate you again as being a key customer. I thank everybody for attending today. Luciano, thank you so much. This was a great session, and look forward to many more with you over the years.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Micah.